Ladies and gentlemen, the following episode is scheduled for one fall. Coming down the aisle are your hosts of In The Kliq, Baby Huey and BrianTronic.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my tag team partner, BrianTronic. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. It's
a new year. It's a new day. Happy New Year, pal. And we're actually not alone. This is kind of a impromptu bonus episode of In The Kliq this week. Brian, you and I were talking earlier in the day, and I was feeling so just I was so like energetic to do this episode, inspired, because I see so many people doing like end of the year episodes, reviewing the year that was 2022. And I was like, man, we need to do one. I want to get one done. Just, last night with the New Year's, I was like, just like sitting there reflecting on the year. And I was like, okay, we need to do this. So like, I texted you and you're like, all right, let's get this done. So we're not alone tonight. I'm super excited. We got some of our friends joining us. First and foremost, we got our buddy Phil from the Bulletcast. What's up, Phil?
Oh, the prodigal son has returned. I can't remember the last time the King of the BC was on an ITK. It feels good, baby. I'm back.
You had to get the Podfather back on, man.
Microphone Messiah.
Messiah.
That gimmick is done.
Let me get a pen and write down all your nicknames again so I remember them all.
I have more nicknames than we've had presidents of the United States. Jesus.
That is true. That is true. And also join us is our buddy Tim from Pro Wrestling Unlimited. What's up, man?
What's going on? I'm glad to be here. Like you said, you kind of just texted me last minute going, hey, if you can, would you mind?
Pressure.
I'm like sitting here watching Simpsons going, I ain't doing anything, so why not? I'm talking wrestling.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like, here we are. Well, first off, Happy New Year, guys. Thank you again for making, like I said, this is very last minute. Literally, I went out to dinner with my dad, came home, and I was like, man, let me just throw some texts out there, see who's available. And luckily, all three of you guys were available. So I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. I got to do this. I know we're recording this on Sunday, January 1st. It is the new year, 2023. But like I said, 2022 was such a chaotic year in pro wrestling. Into the ring, out of the ring, so much happened. I feel like for every week we get so caught up in the week-to-week stuff. I want to just retrospect, look back on the year that was 2022, have some fun, just discussion about all the craziness that we got to see in person, we talked about, witness, all that good stuff. So let's just jump right into it. We have 6 categories here, and we'll power through them just round table style. We'll throw it out there and we'll give our thoughts on each one. If we all have different answers, great. If we all have the same answer, great as well. It'll be like a lot of fun just catching up and reflecting on the year 2022. So category number 1, first one is going to be right out of the gates, male wrestler of the year. I see a lot of people already talking about who the wrestler of the year is. And for everyone, it is very different. It's subjective. I think some people go based on number of matches, technical matches. Some go based on star power. Some go based on the draw, what company they work for. It's very open-ended, and I like that. And I feel like there's kind of 3 or 4 names floating around I see everyone kind of referring to, but I'll let you guys be the first ones to. I'll let you guys all give me your thoughts. Phil, we'll go with you first, Phil. Who is your male wrestler of 2022?
It's my tribal chief, Roman Reigns. I mean, how could it not be? One's up for the bloodline. I mean, no, but seriously, man, I base that kind of thing off of obviously in-ring work, but just general reception and what you've done throughout the year. I mean, Roman, it's been said time and time again, the most important star in the business right now, a part of the most important storyline in the biggest company. I mean, obviously the bloodline and what he's done has been great. We've talked all about that Survivor Series character work that was done at War Games and whatnot. But I mean, even just the matches, the match with Drew at Clash of the Castle, the 6-man tag the bloodline had against RK Bro and Drew at WrestleMania Backlash was great. And unifying the titles, that crazy spot of him getting flipped in the ring with Brock at SummerSlam and the tractor. Losing to Seth Rollins, he took a loss this year at the Royal Rumble. Let's not forget that. Yes, I mean, just a lot of crazy things that Roman has been a part of this year. And it's just it's been cool to watch.
Yeah, man, I totally see it. And I think for a lot of people who say Roman is the wrestler of the year, it's definitely like, I think star power, what it brings to the table. All his matches, you can argue, were the biggest matches of the year as far as like eyeballs watching, who they're going up against or who he went up against, and just a lot of, oh my God, moments from these matches. And you can make the argument, and I think was it Dave Meltzer the other day brought up a good point. You could say like this full year, 2022, was really WWE's test or project to put Roman fully over as one of the next great ones for years to come, that he is up there with the talks of like the other legends from like the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era, someone that whenever he comes back, it's going to be a big deal. So it really was their big pet project, started with Vince McMahon, carrying on with Triple H, of what he, he's up there now as one of the top legends for that company for years to come. Tim, how about you? Is there a wrestler of the year, male wrestler of the year that really stands out for you?
So there's two, and if we're just going based off of, I guess you could say, character and matches and draw, then yes, I would say Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna have to go another direction and say Jon Moxley, because he saved AEW this year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm not even talking, star power. I'm not talking about all the great matches he had. He saved AEW this year. Every time something bad happened, he stepped up. This man was supposed to go on vacation this summer and went, "Oh, you need me? All right. I'll put." And I don't think he's did the vacation ever. I don't think he ever went on that vacation. No, this man saved AEW. Like AEW would have died. We wouldn't be saying, "Oh, what's their new TV deal going to be next year?" No, we would be saying, "Oh, who's going back to WWE?" Because if Jon Moxley didn't come back, and I know there's other great people there in AEW, but if Jon Moxley didn't come back and pick up the pieces that CM Punk kind of shattered, who knows where that company would be? So it's hard for me to pick, because if I'm just going based off of like wrestler of the year because of their body of work, Roman Reigns, of course, 100%. But if I'm also looking at their body of work plus what they did for their company, then I would have to say Jon Moxley. And I think that just puts him slightly, not that Roman didn't do good things for WWE this year, but just slightly puts Jon Moxley over Roman Reigns for me.
That's the other thing too. Like I said, Roman Reigns, I think from like a star power standpoint, a lot of people put him automatically number one champion all throughout the year. But Moxley, I think a lot of people say wrestler of the year just from like what you said, Tim, MVP. Like literally, he put the company on his back, was on call for any time there was an emergency. It was like break glass, call on Jon Moxley to save the day. And he did that. I mean, the summer, I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a summer of Punk, 3.0, I guess at that point. But no, unfortunately, he got hurt. And then when he did came back, had the all-out brawl that happened there, the media scrum. Moxley picked up the pieces after that as well. So, like I said, Moxley, he really proved his loyalty to AEW, re-signed with the company too, brought his wife. So it's really amazing what Jon Moxley did for AEW. And next time I talk to Tony Khan, I want to ask him, like, dude, how would you sum up his legacy for the company? I'm sure we'll get a very long-winded answer, but rightfully so.
I do want to throw something in there with the whole Moxley thing. I mean, like, when he first came to AEW, like, there was this aura about him, the WWE guy, the first one to jump over, and he kind of had something to prove. And I mean, his first run as AEW champion was fine, but it was really in front of no one due to the pandemic. Yep. So these past two reigns that he had this year, like after he came back from rehab, there was a new aura about him. He felt like truly the main event player he always thought he truly was. And then basically with this run that he had this year, it's basically showing the WWE like, hey, I'm the guy that you really should have put the rocket to, not Seth or Roman, in a way.
That's a very good point. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Moxley will ever go back to WWE as a full-time competitor. I think at this point he's kind of proved that, he can do it on his own away from them. I wonder if that's something WWE's eyeballing and, down the road be like, he is a star, and, it's someone we can definitely bring back on. So, Brian, how about you? Anyone that jumps out at you?
Well, I think it's going to be a shield all around, because I'm going to say Seth freaking Rollins. I can easily say Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley. I agree with those 100%, but I think Seth Rollins really kind of sort of put WWE on his back in a sense, right? And I think he's been the one superstar to really overcome. I mean, because he hasn't had the greatest record throughout the whole entire year, right? I mean, ever since before this year, or 2022 started, he was on quite a losing streak, and I know he got the DQ win over Roman, and ever since then it was just kind of like wah wah for him. But I think he's one of the only ones to really still have the crowd behind him no matter what, whether he's face, whether he's heel. He's got thousands of fans in the arena singing his theme song, humming and just dancing, and it's really hard to do that, especially in WWE. I don't think anyone's really as over to have to have the crowd like that in your hands, to be able to have them singing and just interact the way that Seth Rollins does, and other than Roman Reigns, I would have to say Seth Rollins, man. He's been really doing a lot, carrying the company, putting everybody else, but having great matches, especially in the Triple H regime. Really just, I know he had the matches with Riddle, and I think what he's doing right now, and he's got the match coming up with Austin Theory, which is another one of my guys, But I think Seth Rollins, man. But hey, I feel Roman Reigns, Jon Moxley. It's so crazy that those three guys, out of anybody else in the world, right? Any other wrestler, those three guys have really held it down for their respective companies and brands,
Just to add to what he said with the whole Seth thing, I mean, it started off the year, got a win over Roman. It wasn't a pinfall win, but it was a win. Lost 3 straight in a row to Cody, but didn't lose anything of it. Actually came out stronger.
Right.
Overall, lost the feud to Riddle. Came out stronger from that. Had a pay-per-view quality match with Lashley on a random Raw out here in San Jose. Won the U.S. title, had it for 2 weeks, and then is still come out stronger and is possibly going to help elevate Austin Theory once they finally have their match for the U.S. title. So, yeah, I mean, out of the three Shield, out of the Shield, you can argue who is the top wrestler of the year, but all three of them, they're in the 1, 2, 3 spots. And it's crazy. 10 years on, this is where they are.
Absolutely, which is very interesting. This is the 10-year anniversary of the Shield's debut a couple months ago. But yeah, I was with you, Brian. I was gonna say Seth Rollins as well. Do want to give honorable mention. I think a lot of people were saying Will Ospreay for what
from a match standpoint. I think Will Ospreay had the best matches all year.
Yeah, and it's almost been a year now. Wrestle Kingdom last year, technically is last year now, with Okada, right? So it's and was he in the G1? I'm totally spacing here. Yeah, just G1, his performance there, the stuff he does with his faction. It's been amazing. He's put on more weight, over the last couple years. Definitely elevate himself outside of that juniors division into the heavyweight division. And what he did at Forbidden Door, the match with Orange Cassidy, a lot of people love. But no, Will Ospreay, I'm excited to see what he's going to do with Wrestle Kingdom this week against Kenny Omega. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, no, Brian, I'm with you. I'll definitely say Seth Rollins because, as we said earlier, Roman Reigns had both titles for the majority of the year over on SmackDown, made a couple appearances on Raw, but Raw was left without a heavyweight main title, and the U.S. title, to Triple H's credit, he elevated to be the number 1 title for the Raw brand, and Seth was in that mix all throughout that time, between Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley. And then Phil, you said all the rivalries and feuds he had this year. He lost most of them, but he's still so over in this current gimmick that he's in. The crowd loves him, cheers for him, and he could put on an amazing match. And then even in defeat, will still come out afterwards. The crowd loving him. So yeah,
he lost both of his cage matches this year.
Yeah. I wonder what Raw would look like if Roman showed up just a tad bit more throughout this year.
Right.
What would it look like? What would his reign look like?
I think Roman needs to have a feud on Raw, before the run is over. Have one.
I'm shocked that they didn't do at least one short-term deal,
like a main event on Raw. Because I've kind of this time period we're in right now for WWE is interesting. No December pay-per-view, so literally from Survivor Series War Games to the Royal Rumble, it's 2 months. No major premium live event for them to build to. I've noticed, which I like, that episodes of Raw and SmackDown, they've had some really big matches. They're definitely pay-per-view quality, but instead they're giving it to us on free TV. But I think that's just to make up for the downtime in between pay-per-views. But yeah, with that being said, I know they got kind of their specific direction with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, but yeah, Phil, you're right. It would have been interesting to see what they could have done with him on Raw a little bit more.
It's not like Sammy and the Usos aren't on Raw every other week anyways.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Yeah, so we do get a Bloodline present, and they do refer to Roman Reigns a lot. But yeah, it makes you kind of wonder what's going to happen. And then I know there is rumors of a new world title being brought to the picture at some point. So maybe we'll kind of discuss that more in our predictions for 2023. That's our last
one last thing I wanted to mention, because Brian said something we're going to talk all about the Shield. What if CM Punk would have got his way with the Shield and it was Cassius Ohno instead of Roman Reigns?
That's a great point. Where would the industry be?
I
A
know.
little bit. Oh no! Like just, I don't know. That's interesting. I haven't had a chance to look. I know the Cassius Ohno. He has his own podcast. Has he talked about that?
Oh, I don't know.
I haven't had a chance to look into it, but dude. So what would Roman be left on his own then and trying to fight his way up to the main roster if he would have?
Yeah, he would have still been doing like that kind of like a rich boy athlete gimmick he was doing at NXT before the Shield.
That could be interesting.
CM Punk initially wanted Ambrose, Rollins, and Ono, and they're like, "No, we're going to put Roman Reigns in there instead."
Good call. Whoever made that one.
CM Punk is such a pro wrestler, man. He wanted Cassius Ohno.
Did they know each other from Ring of Honor? I'm guessing.
When you think about it, he was one of like the bigger indie guys that signed with WWE at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
when you think about the guys that came from Ring of Honor to WWE during that time, you had Bryan Danielson, you had CM Punk, and then they threw Tyler Black, Seth Rollins into NXT. They threw Cassius Ohno, former Chris Hero, into NXT. It's like they had big ROH names that came in, and it was just another one. And that's what Punk suggested at first, and they were like, "Yeah, we're going a different way."
Yeah, no, Hero and Punk, they had like a real history. Like even before Ring of Honor, like they had like an Iron Man match somewhere in the Mid-South where they were literally tearing apart a building because it was going to be demolished. So they like, all right, our match can help destroy the building, and just crazy stuff they were doing back in like 02, 04.
Oh my God, that's crazy. No, I think in hindsight, they made the right call with Roman Reigns because look what they're at now with them. So, but yeah, like leave it up to the Kliqsters. Let us know what you think is your male wrestler of the year. All right, let's jump on over to female wrestler of the year. This one, I think might be a little bit easier, but then again, I think. I think there's different qualifications also as well for female wrestler of the year based on, what our preferences are. It's very subjective as well based on, star power, but also in ring work, all that stuff. So Tim, I'll throw it to you, man. Who is your female wrestler of the year?
Honestly, this one is harder for me than male wrestler of the year. Okay. And if it's tough, but I think I might have to go Becky Lynch.
All right. Okay.
I think I almost said Bailey. For the second half of the year because I think Bailey has been phenomenal with her character work. She may not have had the greatest matches and stuff with everything that they've done, but I think she's been the best character in the women's division in both companies. But I think overall, I'm going to have to go Becky Lynch for she didn't miss a beat. She came back the year before. Right into 2022 as the champion and all the different matches she's had with all the different people. She had the great feud with Bianca, where some can even argue Bianca is the best wrestler or female wrestler. But I think overall, from a storyline wise, from gimmick wise, from match quality and everything, I'm gonna have to go Becky Lynch.
Interesting. Yeah, no, Becky. Her work as a heel, which a lot of people were kind of hesitant for her to do, but she totally embraced it and made it work and got it over. Which you can argue. When heels get that far over, it's almost like you're destined to be a baby face again because the crowd loves you no matter what. So is it really working truly the true heel baby face dynamics? But yeah, big time Bex up until WrestleMania, that run, the build for Bianca's match was awesome. And, the match itself was great. And then the rematch at SummerSlam. And unfortunately, she got hurt and was out a couple months, but came back before War Games, and that popped for her. And now, she's back to being a full-blown babyface, the man. and the crowd loves it, and she just puts on amazing matches, and she really is the face of the women's division. But I hate to say that in front of Brian because I know he has someone else who's the face of the women's division. Which, well, actually, okay, Brian, go ahead, please share who's your female wrestler of the year.
So
you can't. I feel like I know his answer's going to be, but go ahead.
So I would say Charlotte Flair, right? Obviously that's my number one pick, but she was gone. So I have to say Bianca Belair, and here's why.
Okay.
I think Bianca has been one to kind of stand out. I feel like she's one of the NXT girls who have come over and who's dodged all of the, I guess, mishaps and you know, things that could ruin someone, right? Like she's come over, she's adapted very well. She's had great matches. That's no knock on like Rhea Ripley or Shayna Baszler or anybody like that, but I feel like Bianca Belair's, I mean, she's main evented WrestleMania. You know, she's had big matches. She had that match at SummerSlam where she lost the championship and everyone thought it was over. She was buried and it wasn't going to work for her anymore. She recovered from, you know, the Bayley obviously missing out on the match that they were supposed to have. I think it was at Money in the Bank, right? The I Quit match.
Yeah.
She kind of recovered from that. I know that was supposed to be like a huge moment for her, a huge match for her. I just really think that out of all the women, and I know it feels like WWE struggles with the women's division and, you know, getting that net, even though they have a lot of women that are right there, right? A lot of women that are right there that have that potential that could really be mega stars outside of the four horsewomen, you know, with Charlotte Flair right at the top. There hasn't really been anyone to really like just make a heavy impact and carry the company like Bianca Belair has done. And she's done it flawlessly, man. She's like making appearances and, you know, ESPN this and, you know, I believe she was on the Today Show and got a reality show coming out with Montez and, you know, everything is happening really, really fast and it doesn't seem like she's slowing up. Even in times like, you know, lately, like with her being put in like 6-woman tag matches and, you know, a women's war game where it's not really about the title. It's not even necessarily really about her. She's still like she's not getting lost. Like she's still showing up. She's showing out, and I'm excited for what the next 2023 has for her. So she's been going crazy, man.
You're right. I mean, Bianca this year, where I think a lot of people thought she was done after SummerSlam last year when Becky beat her in 27 seconds, and I think a lot of people wrote her off, and that was a situation where it was like, let's see how this plays out. And, you know, she bounced back big, you know, in 2022. And it's just been such a dominant force. And she really is a true babyface to the fullest as far as, you know, putting on incredible matches, winning all the big matches. And I know some fans are like, oh, she just wins all the time. And like they're calling her like Super Cena 2.0. But I'm like, that's what a babyface is supposed to do. If you're a dominant babyface champion, you're supposed to win those matches. And, you know, I think fans are, you know, as Daniel Bryan has said, can be very fickle. So at times it's like, let her do her thing. Enjoy this while you can, because I'm sure someone else will be champion in the near future. But she's been doing an awesome job. On top of everything else she does, the press and all that stuff, you know, makes her own outfits as well. So you know, she's so committed to this job. I respect that. Phil, how about you? Is there a female wrestler that stands out for you?
I want to say Nikki Cross for getting rid of that Nikki Ass character, but
when you said getting rid of, I thought you were going to say the 24/7 title.
That too. Geez, that was a superhero there for doing that.
Yeah, there you go. No, but I mean,
she saved all of us.
That was kryptonite.
I mean, you could argue between Becky or Bianca. I mean, Becky, she did some great stuff, even kind of helped Liv in ring with like her work when they were feuding, which led to Liv winning the SmackDown title. But obviously it's Bianca Belair. I mean, she really stepped up her game. I mean, in ring, and I think her feud with Becky just kind of even elevated her even more in a way. I mean, she's the longest reigning Black World Champion in WWE history, so that's cool. I mean, she's really done a lot. She's been able to prove like, yeah, I'm not a 4-horsewoman, but I can hang here too.
No, you brought up a good point there, Bianca, as far as her time at NXT. I felt like she was on the verge of like breaking out and being like a world champion, but she was never a champion in NXT. She was always like a bridesmaid, but never a bride. She was like right there. But it was during that time where like Shayna Baszler was just dominating and Rhea Ripley came in and won. So she was like on the outside looking in. So when she got to the main roster and eventually started winning titles there, I'm like, wow, it's just kind of cool. Like, you can say at times NXT, how someone performs there, doesn't necessarily foreshadow how they're going to be on the main roster. You know, at the time, main roster, Vince and crew, you know, elevated her to a point where I think a lot of people thought and saw that potential in NXT, but she never got it there. But she's got it on the bigger stage, which is the right place to get that all that attention.
I will say this: Bianca Belair is probably the best homegrown talent WWE's had since the OVW class.
I was gonna say she did she wrestle didn't wrestle anywhere else, right?
No, I mean like a true homegrown. Like she wasn't an indie star. She learned how to wrestle in the performance center.
What about Roman?
Okay.
What about Charlotte?
That okay?
They're all great.
Yeah, they are all great.
Brian's like, yeah, Charlotte.
Roman wasn't. I forget. Roman wasn't on the Indies. He learned how to wrestle on FCW.
Yeah, it came out with Georgia Tech, right? And tried to play some football.
so-
yeah.
He's not like the Usos who went and trained with Booker first.
Yeah. He wasn't at Knox Pro with Rikishi. You're right.
No, so Rusev was though.
Well, one of them. She is one of the best homegrown talents they've ever
I would
had.
say top 3 or 4 for sure. She's
Absolutely.
right there. Yeah.
She's in the top 10 for sure. That's a fact.
Yeah.
I would, for me, like, part of me is leaning towards Rhea Ripley, but I really think she came into her own this last half of the year. And I really think 2023 is going to be Rhea Ripley's year to really takes it to the next level. But yeah, like I really want to say Bayley too, but you know, her run's really the last 5 months from July, when she came back at SummerSlam, but she gave Bianca some of her best matches. Bayley, to her credit, she is so talented that she, you know, I'll say like kind of like a Bret Hart as far as she'll give people their best matches. She's a great dance partner. And for most people, not all of them, but for most people, she can bring out like people's best in-ring work. And like, I think, you know, the matches with Bianca were a lot of fun. The ladder match, the match over at Crown Jewel, that was a lot of fun. So I definitely want to give Bayley and Rhea Ripley like honorable mentions, but since their run was more dominated by the second half of the year, but it's tough to say, you know, anyone but Bianca Belair just based on the run she's had. I do want to give also props to Jamie Hayter. I know she's been champion now for the last couple months, but you know, I was worried that they were not going to pull the trigger on her in AEW. I felt like she was always going to be like you know, second hand for
she still kind of is though.
I know that's my issue with AEW right now. It's like she's the champion. Put her on top.
When they had the little stare down, was it last week or the week before, where it was Saraya, Toni Storm, and Sheeta in the ring. Yeah. Then on the ramp, it was the 3, Britt Baker, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter. Britt was still standing up front.
And that's a detail they need to pay attention to.
Jamie won the belt. They got put into that triple threat tag match. Why? Because Britt did something on social media to get inserted into that tag match. Britt's still the one getting the interviews, and Jamie's there. Jamie did get that one sit down, but still, it's still that's something I don't like. That even though
I agree,
Jamie Hayter's the champion, she's still seen as Britt Baker's person, I guess you could say.
I'm waiting for Britt Baker to give her the Batista.
I was just thinking that.
And let Jamie just go to town whooping Britt Baker's ass. Like, I'm waiting for it.
Oh, wait. I know this isn't going to happen, but what if Saraya's partner actually ends up being Jamie Hayter and Rebel has the team with Britt?
Well, I hope they announce. Well, okay. Do you think they need to announce that soon?
No.
Or
I think it's going to be a day of thing.
But everyone's going to think it's Sasha Banks.
This is just no.
You mean Monet Banks?
Monet Banks.
Well, no, she just trademarked Monet Banks now. So she's got Mercedes Monet, Monet Banks, Monet Maker. She's got a bunch of names she's trademarked.
Which is good. She keeps everyone on their toes. Which name she gonna officially go with?
That Monet Banks trademark.
We got 2 days. got 2 days from when we're recording this to figure it all out.
That's right.
That Monet Bakes trademark kind of gave it away for me, though. I was like,
same.
Okay, here we go.
I like Mercedes Monet. I like that one.
I like that one too. I like that
rolls
better too.
Yeah, that rolls better too. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see though how AEW in 2023 is going to handle their women's division, because that's, I think, one issue a lot of people have with them. You can make the argument Jade Cargill, while she's a TBS champion, she's like the most dominant force in the women's division, but I think they just gave her that TBS title to keep her busy on her own because they don't want to put her in the main event title picture there. So I wonder what's going to happen. Will she be a double champion maybe at some point? Or will someone finally beat Jade and kind of bring her down and rebuild her for a main event picture scene?
Willow
I don't know.
Nightingale.
I think Willow too. I would love to see Willow beat Jade, be the first one to beat her. That's my pick. Phil, what are you making that face?
I'm just saying, like, Jade Cargill's feuding with Bow Wow right now, bro. Like, we gotta.
Yeah, where's that going?
Like if it was 2006, I would understand, but
Oh,
no.
he said he won't do intergender. He'll do mixed tag, but he won't do intergender matches.
Is that an intergender match?
Can Bow Wow take a bump?
I mean, apparently he's been training
That's what I've heard
really?
too. Yeah,
You've been training? Oh my god!
at Knox Pro.
don't know the extent of his training, but I've heard he's taking some reps.
Yeah, I heard he was training at Knox Pro, which when I was down there, I saw no sign, so I don't know.
We'll see what happens, man. It's gonna be interesting. I really I want to be optimistic, and I really hope AEW invests more in their women's division. Multiple matches maybe on Dynamite or Rampage. The talent is there now, and whether Sasha Banks appears there or not, who knows from the time of this recording. But they got so much great talent there. I hope they do create some more compelling storylines and let these women, put on some great matches. The potential for them to really break out is there, and that's what I'm hopeful for in 2023. So, but yeah, looking forward to seeing all these ladies, what they can do in the new year. It's going to be a lot of fun to keep track of. All right,
Let me catch up really second. Phil, that Iron Man match, Chris Hero, CM Punk, it was WXW in Germany, 2004. But here's the thing. Between 2002 and 2004, CM Punk and Chris Hero had 5 matches that went 59 minutes or longer. One went 92 minutes.
Yes.
What?
I think I'm thinking of the 92-minute one.
Serious?
It was a best 2 out of 3 falls match with a 92-minute time limit. It went to a draw, and they had to go extra time.
How do you keep a crowd compelled, entertain that long?
The 92-minute match was in IW Mid-South.
That's
Chris
what I'm
Hero
thinking
beat
of.
Punk for the title.
You know what? I think I've actually watched that whole
IWA
match.
Mid-South, yeah.
Wow.
How do you
You have to watch and find out.
I guess so, man. That's longer than some movies.
92 minutes.
92 minutes.
I mean, in
I liked it.
August of 2004, they also went to a 30-minute draw for ICW.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Dude, you can watch Backlash 99 in that time.
Yeah. Between, where is it? Because I'm looking here on Cage Match. Cage Match is the greatest website ever.
Yeah.
Between, when was the first? Between December 21st, 2002 and November 26th, 2004, they had 5 matches that went 59 minutes or more. 6 if you say 30 minutes or more.
Oh my
That's
god.
insane. Oh my god.
I love it.
I'm surprised that's not brought up more often in whatever video packages or interviews for CM Punk.
Well, they also had a TLC match in February of 2002 in IWA Mid-South that went 45 minutes.
Only 45 minutes. Nothing compared to 92 minutes. Oh my god. That is insane.
That probably felt like a 25-minute match.
They had to work
them.
up to that 92 minutes. They had to work up to that because they went 45, 60, 92.
Oh my god.
How do they just watch Brett and Sean Iron Man match and hey, let's take some ideas from here and make it go longer. I don't know.
They probably got some Flair tapes because Flair was doing 60 minutes every night.
Yeah, that's insane. Wow. Well, speaking of CM
crazy.
Punk, I think this next category he's going to be discussed a lot. I just called it biggest news item of the year. I mean, I don't think there's any other way to really sum it up. what do you think was the biggest news story of the year? Was it? I like I said, this is very open-ended. Tim, I'm sure you have a lot to say on this because, you do this for a living. You cover pro wrestling news with your website, Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and your YouTube channel, which I do recommend everyone please subscribe to for all the latest breaking news. But yeah, I'll start with you, Tim. What do you think was the biggest news item of the year? I mean, there's I think 3 or 4 that really stand out. Right. And I don't want to maybe spoil anyone's opinion or answer, but yeah, I mean, so much happened in this year outside the ring. It was insane. I'm sure a lot of these wrestling news sites got a lot of web hits from all this, which I'm sure was a very, lucrative year for a lot of these wrestling news sites, just all the headlines that were created. But yeah, Tim, I'll turn it to you, man. Which story you thought was the biggest one that just really captivated the wrestling fans in this bubble that we live in?
So to me, it's going to be the Vince stuff, and more specifically, Vince stepping away. Not even the Vince allegations.
Okay.
Yes, the allegations led to him stepping away, but I thought Vince was going to die sitting in gorilla position.
Yep. I think a lot of people.
So him stepping away is, I think, the biggest thing. And then Triple H, of course, taking over after he had been gone for a year with his health issues and everything. So I think that is the biggest news story. And then, like you said, I can think of 4 right off the top of my head easily.
But I'll save mine at the end, but
I'm going to see if any of you guys say the same thing I'm thinking before.
Okay.
And then we'll go back and see if we're thinking anything similar. But yeah, I'm going to say Vince stepping down. We've heard all the Vince stories in the past of him being a sleazy person and a piece of crap and all this and the stuff in spas and all that. But him actually finally agreeing to leave is the one thing. But leave, but still know that he has some power because Vince McMahon still has 80% voting rights. If Nick Khan ever goes, we got a buyer, Vince can say no. That's the one thing Vince still has over this company. He can stop a sale.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know about that little detail.
Yes, because he's got the specific amount of stock he has, what's called, I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, a Class B style stock. Yeah. He's got more than anybody, which actually gives him more voting power than anybody within that company. So the only thing that he has power over is if they finally go, oh, NBCU, you want to buy it so you're not paying us for the Peacock stuff anymore? Sure, Vince can say no.
And theoretically, he could, with his power, that 80%, he can decide who the board of directors are, who theoretically could vote him back in. But
I don't think that happens.
That can't happen because then I'm sure the current set of board of directors can have lawsuits and sue for being let go improperly, all that stuff, right? I mean, it'd be very, and then advertisers could buy, be like, whoa, we don't want Vince back.
And, that's where I was going to get it. It can hurt, partnerships. It can hurt the stock. Yeah. It can hurt a whole
morale
of things. That doesn't have to be said.
There'll be no more Snickers presents. I know that much.
Hey, Mountain Dew's gonna pull out.
Snickers almost pitch black match.
Yeah,
Snickers almost pulled out over Moolah.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I don't know, man. Well, okay, Brian, I'll turn it to you. You were, I guess, hinting what your answer is going to be, the action figure you're holding up. But yeah, please, what do you think was the biggest news story of the year?
So I do agree with Tim. I think it was Vince. I thought it was just pretty cool to hold up the CM Punk, figure. What is this? WrestleMania 29?
I was gonna say that's the older one.
It's 29. Yeah.
He's got the shaved head.
Yep. But I think it was Vince, man, because that was a shocker for me. Like, I legit stopped what I was doing and was like, oh my God. Like, I told my wife, I said, Vince McMahon just stepped away from WWE. Like, it was bittersweet because it was like, oh my God, like all I've known is Vince McMahon, right? But at the same time, it's like, wow, like this is great for the company. Like, new people can come in and run it and do things and, just change it, turn it around and point it in the right direction that it needs to be. So yeah, I mean, even now when I think about it, it's pretty sad. Like, this will be his first WrestleMania this year ever he hasn't been a part of. That is crazy to me. Like, that's going to be like, that right there is huge. and I'm sure it's scary for Triple H and company, right? Like, it's like, oh my God, how do we do what he's done for all these years, right? But it's you know, it's exciting.
That's why he
too.
needs Regal back.
Yes.
Oh yeah, totally. Regal's coming back at a perfect time, heading into Royal Rumble season and WrestleMania season. But also the fact that it was done by a tweet on a Friday afternoon, where most news stories, you know, it's like the least busiest time because you're heading into the weekend. Yeah, I thought he got hacked or something. But yeah, it was done. It wasn't done like on a press conference or anything. It was done so quietly with a tweet, and that's on top of. When the allegations came out a couple weeks earlier, you know, he showed up on SmackDown and Raw doing appearances, kind of like, you know, giving it, or what's the word? Like, haha, you guys can't stop me. I'll still make public appearances.
Giving the Wall Street Journal the middle finger.
Yeah, you know? but then sure enough, he's still, you know, retired, announced his retirement. So it's crazy. Phil, how about you? Biggest news story of the year?
Jamie Noble coming out of retirement.
Yeah, absolutely. Best house show ever.
Yes, of course. It has to be the Vince stuff, man. I mean, for anybody, like we in the Bully Cast chat, you know, Brian and I were like, "No, he got hacked." No, we did an emergency podcast the night it happened.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody thought he was going to FDR, die in the chair, like Tim said. I mean, it's crazy to think that the guy that's been there since, you know, all of us have really started watching wrestling is no longer there. And it's just wild to see. I mean, even like for those of us who went to like the Raw or SmackDown that was out here, like it still kind of felt the same. But you know, somebody else is behind the curtain calling the shots.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, that's the thing. It's like theoretically, all of us know each other because of Vince McMahon. If you want to make that connection loosely, like as a kid, you know, Brian, you can relate to this. Phil, you guys all can relate to this. As far for me, as a kid growing up in California on the West Coast in the '80s and '90s. Wrestling to me that was exposed to me was Vince McMahon's era of pro wrestling. I didn't grow up in the South where NWA, like I got into WCW when it was on TBS, like Saturdays and stuff. But for me, like my exposure to pro wrestling was through Vince McMahon and his launch of his national expansion across America. And so that's how I fell in love with wrestling and all his characters that he brought to the table and debuted. And that's how I became a fan, went to house shows. I saw Hogan versus Slaughter, Hogan versus Flair at different house shows here in the Bay Area. And I became a lifelong fan. And everyone I've met, you know, through the podcast and everything is because of Vince McMahon. So, you know, it's, and as everyone else said, I thought he was going to die in the chair. He was going to be like Al Davis of the Raiders, literally be owner until the end. I thought he was going to be owner until his last breath, but, you know, things change and things happen with him. So it's crazy.
I remember how crazy I felt when I was younger when I found out that the guy that's been at the announce table this whole time is actually the owner and Bret Hart hates him.
I know, dude. I did like Vince as a commentator growing up. I loved it. What a maneuver. Did you see that right hand? Like, as simple as his play-by-play was, I loved his enthusiasm. But yeah, it was crazy, you know, how Vince retired. Obviously, the brawl out, all out, wherever people call it, Muffin Gate. There's some different names. Yeah. Obviously, the media scrum with CM Punk at All Out, and then the brawl with the Elite and Kenny Omega. You know, that was a big story. And, you know, I feel like it took months for AEW to really turn things around. I think in November is when things start really to kind of get back in their favor as far as a momentum standpoint. Full Gear really was, I think, a big turning point for them. But from a, you know, headline standpoint, everyone was trying to speculate what happened, different stories, you know, what happened behind the scenes, and all the reaction to CM Punk going to stay with the company. Is he gone? A buyout? All that stuff. I mean, me personally, my biggest news story of the year, just for the sake of, you know, argument, something different, is Stone Cold coming back to the ring, WrestleMania. Like, Stone Cold's my all-time favorite wrestler. And so the fact that he wrestled a match 19 years later at WrestleMania in his home state of Dallas, or in Dallas, Texas, I didn't have a chance to see Stone Cold live in his heyday. Just for whatever reasons, I never had a chance to go see him. So when he was going to be at WrestleMania, I was like, no excuses. I'm going to WrestleMania. And so to see him in person, hear that glass shatter, him come to the ring, have a great brawl with Kevin Owens, I'm so happy. And then the next night, got to stun Vince McMahon one more time, go off in the sunset. So, yeah, seeing Stone Cold make a big return to wrestling. And who knows what's going to happen? He's looking pretty jacked now on his Instagram. So who knows what the plans are for WrestleMania this year in LA. But there's when that video got released where he says, I challenge you, Kevin Owens, to a match, or, he had different sayings, a match, a face-to-face, whatever you want to call it. I will see you at WrestleMania. I was like, oh my God, it's happening. So, Tim, any other news stories that stood out for you? I have a couple more I could think of.
So the ones that come to my mind right off the bat, of course, the Vince stuff.
Yep.
The stuff with CM Punk, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Cody Rhodes leaving AEW and going to WWE. Wow. Logan Paul being a great pro wrestler. Who the hell would have thought that? And then another one you could add is Saraya getting cleared and coming back as well.
That's a good point. Of all the other shows I've been kind of keeping track of their end of the year stuff, no one's really brought that up. That's a really good point. That is a big deal, especially
5 years that she couldn't wrestle. WWE iced her. She was GM. She was a manager, and then they said, "Hey, you can go home and play on Twitch."
Yeah. So it's really happy for her to see her back wrestling, and I think, Brian, I sent you the photo. She walked by me at the Aftershock Festival in Sacramento. 'Cause, she goes out with Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse, and he was doing interviews in the press tent.
Nice.
And she walked right by me, and his entourage or his security were Hell's Angels. I'll have to send you guys the photo, but a bunch of Hell's Angels were walking him in and out of the press tent. And he only did a couple interviews, big interviews there. But she was walking there, and I was like, I was more geeking out for her than Ronnie Radke. Oh my God, there's Paige. I wanted to go up to her and just say hi, but like I said, Hell's Angels were all standing around. I was like, I'm not gonna, jump in, even though it's the press area. Theoretically, everyone in there are professionals to a certain extent, but I wanted to go say hi to her. So she walked by me on video, so I took a screenshot, and so I technically got a photo with her by way of her walking by me. But no, thank you, Tim, for bringing that up. That's one I think not enough people have been mentioning. So yeah, man, it's gonna be weird or interesting to see if 2023 can top that.
Well, I mean, and there's even one more: Sasha and Naomi walking out minutes before a Raw.
That's a huge one.
Yeah.
So there's 6 or 7 right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll throw another one in the hat. The fact that Ric Flair at 70 whatever had him and Ricky Steamboat had matches in 2022. But no, Flair, it was clips of him and Jay Lethal working in the ring, and we're like, okay, I guess, all right, Rick, And then the little docu-series and the Jay
love
Lethal.
those. Promo videos were
great.
awesome.
They were great. Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett beating him up in the parking lot and his bleeding. And then the fact that it was Andrade and Rick versus those two guys. And Rick Flair had a wrestling match in 2022.
Well, I love that Jeff said, my dad never liked working with you. It's just for us longtime fans, historical fans know the connect. I mean, it was just great. Jeff connecting the dots, and Jeff Jarrett is still great what he does.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of that, Jeff Jarrett, his 2022. Let's GCW, WWE, NWA, AEW now.
Well,
Jim Crockett Promotions.
That weekend in Nashville, SummerSlam weekend, he worked SummerSlam, the tag match with the Usos, and then the following night, wrestled the Ric Flair match. So, he was busiest guy that weekend in Nashville.
A true definition of a pro wrestling worker. He will work a territory and then go to the next.
And the other day, or a couple weeks ago, he was on an episode of AEW Dark, and that's the show that's filmed at Universal Studios. The promo he cut in the ring, I loved it. It felt like an old school NWA small studio wrestling type of video interview. The crowd was yelling at him. He turned around, he stopped what he was doing, addressed the crowd, got more heat yelling at him. Then he turned to the camera, ignored them. I loved it. The confidence.
He's phenomenal at studio style wrestling.
Yes. I think Jeff Jarrett going to AEW is a big gain for them. Also, Tim, I forgot the guy that was supposed to be Kevin Dunn's successor in WWE, but he's now with AEW. I'm blanking on the name, but that guy who's helping with the relaunch of AEW television. That's another big win for AEW as far as behind the scenes staff that I think can really help with the presentation. So
I would have put Jeff Jarrett with Baron Corbin over JBL.
Ooh.
Only because I feel like Jeff Jarrett just brings that, he makes you hate him. JBL's at that point in his career where it's either you hate him because of the character, or you
the big pants he wears,
the big pants, or you're just tired of him and you want him off your TV screen, and that doesn't really help Baron Corbin, right? We need someone to come in there and help Baron Corbin. I feel like, oh man, such a missed opportunity with Jarrett. I was kind of mad. I was like, Jarrett went and got himself involved in that tag match and stuff, and didn't really seem like he was really interested in being the referee. Like you can tell his body language in his face. He didn't really want to be doing what he was doing. Then he gets to AEW and he cuts that promo on the stage. I'm like, what the heck? He can still talk. What's going on?
No, it's great what Jeff Jarrett's doing, and I don't want to see him wrestling that much. I want to see younger guys and gals get TV time,
getting a tag title shot.
But in the meantime, if he can help put over the younger talent, I'm all for it. And then behind the scenes, if he can help them,
Michael Mansouri was the one that AEW signed. He is the new senior vice president and co-executive producer of All Elite Wrestling.
That's a big deal. I think from just TV presentation, I think he's going to be a big help for them. So
Tony said that they're even changing the stage, not just the graphics. He said we're getting a new stage.
So. Oh, thank you.
Get rid of Cody's chandelier.
Thank you. Oh, that's like the only thing that I want changed in AEW is because I feel like
it's coming up on 4 years.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
4 years today, where AEW was officially announced.
If you really look at it, the AEW stage is a mix between the old TNA Impact Zone and the SmackDown 2006 stage. I mean, the chandelier is the replacement for the fist.
Yes. Exactly. Phil, anything else you wanted to?
Oh, go for it.
Maybe the downfall of the NWA. That's a thing that happened. And Nick Aldis throwing not the shade, but giving that interview with Sam Roberts, kind of detailing what happened.
As of today, Nick Aldis is officially, as of today, a free agent.
He is.
Wow.
Oh, that was one of my predictions. Oh, thank you for reminding me. God, I have some other predictions.
We might see him in 27 days. We don't know.
Yeah, I would love that in 27 days. So.
If Bruce has anything to say about it, probably not.
That is true. Or
Bruce was never a
Cena?
Bruce was never a Magnus fan.
What about Cena? We know Cena's not a big fan, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, that was a long time ago.
So, all right, next category, match of the year. Come on. I know we just got done talking about all the big news stories of the year, but there was a lot of great big shows that happened, which we'll talk about show of the year after this. But match of the year, we talked about our favorite male and female wrestlers. All of them put on some amazing matches. So, Brian, I'll turn it to you first, man. Is there a match of the year? I know you got to witness some pretty big ones in person. We watched all of them, obviously, on TV. But, Brian, which one for you is your match of 2022?
So, I'm going to refer to my pick from the Casties over on the Bullet Cast. I actually picked Gunther versus Sheamus. That match ended up not winning. It was Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. But I'm going to stick with Gunther versus Sheamus because I felt like it was a match that WWE needed. It was a match that Sheamus needed. I think it kind of really – his feud with Gunther really helped take him into another level, right? And I think it really furthered Gunther as a real dominant Intercontinental Champion. And it was just, all in all, really just flat out, it was just one of those matches that I feel like WWE needed, a hard-hitting, crowd on the edge of their seat type of match. So, and I know that there's a lot of good ones. I know there was FTR and Briscoes on here, and there's a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, that Clash at the Castle, that was, I would say, Triple H's first show where he had over a month to prepare for. No, SummerSlam literally was a week or two. Yeah. Kind of took
Clash
over.
Clash at the Castle was the first one that he had full say over everything. He didn't have to come in and kind of pick up any pieces.
And that was the day before All Out. I know All Out, was a big show that weekend. But for Clash at the Castle, you can make the argument, which not to jump ahead, but show of the year for how great the in-ring work was. for WWE, and it shows they need to do more UK shows. That crowd was awesome. And as you guys know, my interview with Bailey, she talked about how great that crowd was. You know, they gave her old school chant, hoo ha, hoo ha. But that
was cool.
I want to know. So, but yeah, Clash of the Castle, that was a lot of fun. And the matches, you know, Sheamus and Gunther really set the tone for that night. Phil, how about you? Match of the year.
Match of the year. Can we just throw Cody and Seth? Can we just throw the trilogy in there? I mean, if I have to pick one, obviously you'll pick the Hell in the Cell, given what happened in Cody and his torn pec. I personally think WrestleMania Backlash was a better match overall, like just in ring wise between the three. But I mean, if you have to pick that moment of Cody taking off the jacket and just working with a torn pec, and they did great work. The bull rope, you know, a callback to his father, obviously Seth with the polka dots. But I do want to throw an honorable mention out there.
Okay.
Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul in Saudi Arabia. It felt like a heavyweight title fight. That shot of Roman about to lay the smack down with his hand while Logan Paul's going for a jumping springboard forearm or whatever.
Yeah.
It all works so well together, and the fact that he probably has come the closest out of anybody to dethroning Roman, and just Roman selling like, yo, he got too close. Like this YouTuber got too close to ending the island of relevancy. Like the story work there was just tremendous. But my overall pick will be Cody, Seth, and the Cell. Yeah,
no, I totally agree with you. Like that Roman Logan match, I think a lot of people were very impressed for just the actual in-ring work. Now, from a larger story standpoint, I know some people were kind of shaking their heads like, man, this guy, it's only his third match. And you got Roman Reigns, who's been a dominant champion. He should not let, theoretically, kayfabe, Logan should have not got that much offense in. But then from a bigger, big eyeball watching standpoint, Roman did his job of help putting Logan over and just, make it a spectacle that it was.
I do want to say another thing that I liked what WWE did this year. They used other media outlets like Logan Paul's podcast and Pat McAfee's podcast to set up storylines within the company with Pat McAfee in Theory and then Roman and Logan.
Oh, yeah. Even Vince did the interview on Pat McAfee earlier this year, and that helped set up their thing at WrestleMania. So, I think WWE exploring other ways to reach a different audience, that's always a smart business move to do. So I totally agree with you. Tim, how about you? Match of the year.
It's going to be the only match that I've watched more than once this year. It's Cody, Seth, and the Cell.
Really? How many times have you watched it?
3.
Wow. Yeah. Dude.
No, 4.
That reveal of the torn pack, and I guess for Cody, he's like, all right, I already injured it. I can't injure it any more than what it is, so I can keep going.
I mean, it's the match that I'll show non-wrestling fans just because of the moment of Cody pulling that off. And then, I have a friend that couldn't care less about wrestling. And he'll come over, and me and my roommate will be watching it, and he'll be like, oh, hey, cool. Like, I showed him, he kind of likes when there's hardcore stuff, so I showed him, like, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa in the cage and all that. But he came in when we were watching Seth and Cody, and he's like, what the hell? That's a lot of makeup on that guy. And I'm like, no, that ain't makeup. That's a torn pec off the bone. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, they told him that he can't do any worse, so just go out there and do it. So, yeah, Cody, Seth, inside the cell. It's, to me, for everything that it was, my match of the year.
Well, it's going to make Cody a legend.
Yes. And there has been better worked matches. I'll say that. But I think for the story that it told, the overarching, it ended the feud, everything it did, I think that's for me the match of the year.
The other thing too is when I say Cody's going to be a legend, it's like while the injury is unfortunate and he's been gone for the last 6 months, his return is going to be that much more epic because we're all going to remember that last impression of him of gutting it out, this amazing performance with the torn pec, the bruise, and still picking up the victory. And it's going to pick up that storyline where he talked about the night after WrestleMania, where he wants to win the WWE title, the title his dad never had, and what it means to him. We all know about that. So for him to go out with this injury and to come back eventually at the Royal Rumble, whatever, it's going to pick up that storyline and just get us, that's the story we all want to see play out on the main event scene there. So while the injury was unfortunate, it actually, I think, will help launch his storyline, his return. And actually, I think in some ways it could work out to his benefit. Like, we didn't get burnt out of him already throughout this year. We missed him.
it shows people that he's willing to go out there and do anything. And it's not just the Cody we saw in AEW that everyone said had a big ego and like putting himself over and this and that and whatnot. No, it's, oh no, this guy go out there and work for the fans, not work just because, oh, I'm in a power position and can do whatever I can. Because, I mean, I was told by 2 different indie wrestlers that worked AEW over the last couple of years, Cody's pretty full of himself backstage in AEW.
I can imagine so, especially, you know, at the time he was EVP and stuff and helped start the company. But my thing with Cody as well is, think about it as this, like, he just returned to WWE. I'm sure Vince and him and Bruce, you know, when they met to set up the deal and everything, they probably outlined, you know, I would imagine outlined maybe what his storyline was going to be throughout 2022. This unfortunate injury erupted that storyline. So I'm sure for him, he probably felt like, I didn't want to let Vince down. I'm going to go out there and still just gut it out and put on this performance. One more match before I go away on injury leave. And that way, you know, gives people something to talk about. Vince won't see me as, you know, he easily could have just gave up on that match and be like, oh, I'm injured, I can't do the match. Sorry, it's off. He still got out there, and I think just to prove to everyone that, you know, is, you know, loyal to the company or at least to Vince. He wants to do right by him. And so I hope, you know, Triple H and the powers that be now in creative coming up in this new year, you know, will reward Cody for that and, you know, give him a WWE title opportunity or reign. So it's going to be really exciting for him. Other matches, Gunther, Sheamus, that definitely stood out. I mean, for me, you also you can throw out there CM Punk, MJF, dog collar match at AEW Revolution. Just the story that they told up to that point, MJF, the callback of meeting CM Punk as a kid, and, you know, he brought up real life issues growing up in high school and relayed to CM Punk and kind of used that to emotionally get under CM Punk's skin. CM Punk with the callback to his match with Raven and Ring of Honor, coming out with the same ring gear, the AFI song, all that stuff. So for a long time, CM Punk, Ring of Honor fans, that match was awesome for all the Easter eggs there. And the match itself was just great. It wasn't like a super technical, high-flying, flippy type match. It really told a great story with that dog collar match, just beating him up. And, you know, Phil, I told you on the Bulletcast Awards, I like how he said, hey, CM Punk in his promo, you know, sitting down in the ring, hey, MJF, would you be my Valentine? Great callback to Greg the Hammer Valentine, Roddy Piper's dog collar match in NWA Starrcade. So, like, all those, like, Easter eggs from, like, history standpoint. But also, I really love the Briscoes and FTR's dog collar match from Final Battle. Ring of Honor Final Battle was really great as well. We're so lucky. There were so many great matches here. I mean, Okada, Ospreay, as we mentioned earlier, that was another great one as well. So, like, there's so many here. I mean, we can go on and on.
I want to throw out Anarchy in the Arena was crazy.
Yeah, that too. That was a lot of fun too. Just how chaotic that match was all over the place. And cameramen, you know, earned their money that day trying to keep track of it all and film it all and, you know, document it. Those things are always tough because, like, are you missing something in real time? So, all right. Well, speaking of show of the year, all right, let's throw it around, guys. Show of the year. What was your favorite show? Either AEW, WWE. I'll let it. You guys, hell, it could be an indie show, could have been a New Japan show. Tim, I'll turn it to you, man. What was your show of the year?
I mean, we've picked a lot of WWE here, but I'm going to have to say, you've already said it yourself, Clash of the Castle.
Okay.
I thought from start to finish, Clash of the Castle was, in my opinion, Triple H booking a next-level NXT takeover.
Good call. Yeah.
And I think, like, every match there wasn't a match on the show that I could really say I didn't like. Everything was, I think, stories going into all those matches made sense. It wasn't just a lot of stuff thrown together last minute. Everything seemed like that Triple H thought stuff out, and it wasn't more of Vince going, oh, well, I was going to do this yesterday, but Monday came and I changed my mind, so we're doing this now. No, it was, I thought, a very thought out show with a lot of great storylines and a lot of great matches from overall.
And also in that main event too, I know we haven't brought it up yet, but Drew McIntyre versus Roman, while I know Logan Paul, we said earlier, you know, was really close to beating Roman, but Drew gave an amazing fight in that match. And that one, I think a lot of people legit thought, okay, this is Triple H's first show under his regime as head of creative. And I think a lot of people thought, will he actually take the titles off Roman here? And there was that big unknown going into that pay-per-view. And, Drew gave an amazing performance. It was that close of defeating Roman. But, the debut of Solo on the main roster and the run now the Bloodlines had with him in the fold. So from a main event even bout, like overall that show top to bottom was so good, so fun.
Clash of the Castle is where we got Dom and Mommy. He turned on Edge and his father at Clash of the Castle.
That's right. Brian, how about you? Show of the year.
I'm going to say WrestleMania just because I was there, baby.
That was amazing.
Being there for, of course, the Queen City, Charlotte Flair, once again, right? Just making history, doing what she does, being arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest in-ring performer in WWE history, right? I mean, let's be honest. But being there for Cody was really, really awesome. Stone Cold, Vince McMahon. I felt like this was like the better of the 2-night WrestleManias that they've done. Mm-hmm. It makes me really think, and it makes me really think too. And I'm anxious, man. I can't wait to see what Triple H does with a 2-night WrestleMania, because, I mean, Vince, he hasn't had the greatest reputation for WrestleMania and what he's done over the last few years. But that one was, WrestleMania 30 was really, really good. And so I'm curious and I'm anxious to see what Triple H can do. Also, I want to point out Clash of the Castle, I felt like was one of Triple H just has a way of making like events and matches feel important. Mm-hmm. I really thought it was really neat how he had Karrion Kross and Scarlett ringside during Triple H and Drew McIntyre, just because like stuff like that, like, or even the way he brought back Io Sky and Dakota Kai, the way he brought them back and just having that moment with Bianca Belair in the ring. Stuff like that is really, really cool, and I'm really interested to see how he what he does at WrestleMania. It's those 2 big nights, so I'm interested to see what he does.
And with that, Dave Meltzer did report that Triple H does have his backup plan if they can't get Rock to face Roman.
Okay.
What do you think that backup plan is? I mean,
is
it Cody?
I would assume, but I don't know. If they're not going Cody Seth again, it would be a cool way to cap everything off. Cody Seth and Mania next year for like a title or something.
Wow, God, I love this. So there's the unknown. We don't know. There's no clear. But that's as a fan, we're just left to speculate, and that's
Dwayne's going to be very busy in early April with the XFL.
Is that what? Okay, I was going to say what was going on. Yeah, I was trying to think what's on his schedule.
And they've got a big deal with ESPN.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out.
He's going to be doing a lot of press. And here's something that I've talked about recently.
Okay,
if The Rock is doing WrestleMania, how is he going to promote that? Because he's not going to want to go into an interview promoting the XFL and WWE at the same time, because then people are going to think, oh, are they one and the same again?
So he wants to distance himself a little bit, talking about
yes
XFL.
And no. Because, he's going to have to do a lot of stuff to hype up the XFL starting in April on ESPN. Fox has the USFL that's got their second season that's supposed to be their competitor at the same time. But it's like, if he's going in there and going, oh, yeah, we got all these great, athletes coming into the XFL, but I'm also wrestling at WrestleMania, then you're going to have people going, oh, is WWE still running that too?
That's interesting. Rock,
that's tough.
He should
I didn't think about that.
He should beat Roman, hold up a big XFL flag, and just lay it on Roman. just cover him. And Cody's like, hey,
his entrance is going to start with his entrance is going to start with a huge XFL flag, and then poof.
Oh my
He's going to have the XFL cheerleaders come out.
That would be. We saw the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders at this year's WrestleMania, so yeah, he should.
He had the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders at 32 as well.
That's right.
He did.
All right, Phil. How about you, man?
Was that the same one with the fire gun that he had?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he beat Eric Rowan in like 6 seconds. Yeah.
The XFL. XFL actually starts in February. Okay, so it starts in February and it's over at the end of April. So
like
he'll still be doing XFL promotions stuff at that same time. Especially if he shows up at the Rumble and starts promoting everything from there on, then it's going to really overlap.
Oh, that's crazy to think about. Phil, how about you, man? Show of the year.
So I'll do two. I'll do like a mainstream one and an indie one.
Okay.
So mainstream, I'm gonna go WrestleMania 38. I mean, it was a 2-night event. It really just kicked off all the we've all talked about the moments. Austin coming back out of retirement, Vince having one last match in Stunner, Cody's return, Roman unifying Bianca and Becky, just putting on I'm not gonna say banger because that word is overused. A match that we will remember for quite some time.
Yes.
Yeah. But as far as the indie level, I'm gonna stick it to the Bay Area, West Coast Pro, Ride the Lightning. They did some good business. Daniel Garcia, the ROH Pure Champion, was a mystery partner. Will Hobbs showed up randomly for some reason because he was just hanging out. Titus Alexander took the title off of Jacob Fatu, and that really helped elevate Titus even more. So, and overall, I think that show really helped the scene here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. From a local indie standpoint, not to go off on a tangent here, but we're really lucky right now. I think 2023, that momentum, the last half of 2022, so many wrestling promotions here in the Bay Area, Northern California, Sacramento area. I think Sacramento has 5 promotions going. So
yeah.
Here in the Sacramento and Bay Area, we have so many great promotions running. There's a lot of great shows. I know, Phil, the other night we were talking about how many shows coming up next weekend, the week after, and the week after that.
And you guys had King of Indies as well come back this year?
Yeah.
Yes,
Queen of Indies. Yeah, Queen of Indies is coming in May, I believe.
Yeah, the King of Indies winner, Dragon Lee, is going to WWE, so that's a thing.
I know. That's crazy to think about. He won, and 2 months later, he's going to be working for Shawn Michaels and stuff. So, no, you're right. As far as in the Bay Area, we're really lucky for all the great independent promotions running shows on a regular basis, like literally Fridays and Saturdays. There's something going on. And I'll say this, support your local indie show.
Oh, yeah.
It's like supporting a local music scene. Support your local band, your favorite local band. These are these wrestlers are performers for us, so support them any way you can. But yeah, show of the year for me, yeah, it is WrestleMania 38. Not to be biased, but yes, I was there. It was just so much fun. Like I said, seeing Stone Cold in action, all the stuff we talked about already. Even the goofy, funny, comedic match with Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville was laid out really good. And I love the 2-night format. I know they Wrestle Kingdom did it first, and then they did their own version, which I love. I love that it's spread out over 2 nights. So it's you get 7 matches a night. So it's not as long as WrestleMania 35, which I was there for, and that thing took forever. That was an 8-hour day. This was insane. I'm glad they can have 7 matches, each get a significant amount of time, and then breathe after every match. So we can process it, all that stuff, and then go on to the next match. But yeah, WrestleMania 38, like I said, it's that pop for Stone Cold. Hearing that pop for him, and yeah, Cody's return, that was goosebumps. Still watching that video clip to this day. But yeah, Clash of the Castle was a lot of fun, and that's what I'm excited for. Triple H, head of creative, is he can get these premium live events to a level for the same hype and buzz like takeovers would have. And that's what I'm excited for, is we'll be at a point where it's takeovers were cannot miss. I could not wait. The buzz, man, Saturday, it's a double weekend, takeover, and then the pay-per-view, WWE pay-per-view the next day on Sunday. So for me, Saturday, people were excited. I'm cannot wait for that same type of buzz that we're starting to get now with Triple H in charge. AEW Revolution was a lot of fun too. I mean, that one had, the dog collar match with Punk and MJF, but Adam Cole versus Hangman as well. Forbidden Door was a lot of fun. I know it didn't have all the star power that New Japan had, or even I know there was a lot of injuries and stuff, and some of the matches didn't end properly what they were wanting. But there was a lot of great stuff there. So I know Impact had Slammiversary, which had a lot of fun, surprises there. So a lot of great wrestling matches all year long. We're so spoiled as fans now. Here we are in 2022, so much great stuff to look forward to every single month, locally, mainstream, all that stuff. So, it's great. All right, so last category here. Thank you guys for hanging out during this whole thing. But predictions for 2023. And I love this one because, here we are, a new year. Let's just throw out ideas, things we want to see happen in pro wrestling in 2023. Hopefully you guys had some time to think of some stuff. I thought of some stuff earlier. Hopefully you guys have something different as well. Tim, I'll throw it to you first. If you're able to, if you have one or a couple, just things you want to see or think could happen in 2023 in pro wrestling.
So things that I think are going to happen in the next year. I think this is tough. Mm-hmm. Well, first off, Charlotte Flair is going to become like a 20-time world champion. I mean, how many times do they put the title on her? I mean, Ronda's going to win the title back at the Rumble, and then Charlotte's just going to win it at Elimination Chamber, and then Ronda's going to win it at Mania, and then Charlotte's going to win it at WrestleMania Backlash or something. I don't know.
Charlotte should just enter the Men's Royal Rumble and win that, and she should face Roman Reigns on night 1 and 2 for both titles.
But no, I think she either ties John Cena and Ric Flair's record. I put that in quotes because technically Ric's like a 21 time world champion. I think she either ties it this year or goes one above. So she's either 16 or 17. And then they say, oh, look, she's the best Flair there ever was. Everyone calls her dad the GOAT, but who won more world titles? I mean, you got that.
Okay.
And then my other one will be CM Punk back in AEW because Tony Khan's not going to release him.
Wow. Okay. I can see
Tony
that happening.
Here's the thing. Tony has, I've heard this a couple of times now. Tony's gone back on wanting to let Punk go.
Really? Okay. That'd be interesting. I think just maybe some time, let the dust settle, let people's emotions.
We've got like 5 more months till he can even get cleared, maybe 4. He's out with an injury, so maybe all this time away can heal wounds.
Yeah,
real wounds that were caused by teeth and so forth.
Dogs losing teeth and people biting each other.
Biting Kenny. I mean,
I know.
But yeah, those are my 2 predictions. Charlotte
Tony Khan's going to get put on the list.
Yeah, those are my 2 things. Charlotte either ties or beats John Cena and Ric Flair for world title reigns.
Yeah,
and Punk some way, maybe not have a match, maybe just appear. I don't know, but some way back within AEW.
Okay. Phil, how about you, man? Any predictions for 2023 in pro wrestling you think will happen or would like to see happen?
I've been thinking now, and we got talks of new world championships popping up in WWE and whatnot. I think one of the things I'll say, if the new world title thing is true, then I think either Edge or Finn Balor will have a heavyweight title run in 2023. Because, Edge, he hasn't done it yet. I mean, that's really one of the things he came back to do. Okay. And I can see Triple H presenting the world heavyweight title again, kind of like what it was done to him. Kind of a full circle moment, and that title is kind of synonymous with Edge. And he does still have a feud with the Judgment Day. So I'm not even thinking about, like, Seth or Drew, like the typical. I'm thinking, like, something different, truly different. And I think we'll get a successful Money in the Bank cash in from somebody that we didn't expect to win the briefcase, kind of like what used to be back in the day.
Okay,
like we'll get a genuine surprise of, oh my God, they won the briefcase. Oh my God, they're the champion.
Jack Swagger.
I like this hat. So, let me ask, do we know? Or it's not been announced yet, but will Money in the Bank still be a regular pay-per-view, or will that be brought back to WrestleMania?
I think you can make it a regular pay-per-view still, because like Triple H said at that press conference, like you can challenge somebody to a match, but like you don't want to just add a whole bunch of other people to it, like, because it doesn't really make any sense, kind of deal.
So basically what Triple H said was, he was asked about the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view specifically. And what he said was, I'd like Hell in a Cell to be the end of a feud, the end of a blood feud or something. Hence why there's a rumor that we could see Edge versus Balor in a Hell in a Cell match at Royal Rumble, but that's a whole other story. But he said, you can go out and say, I want to challenge you to a Royal Rumble match, or to a Hell in a Cell match. You can't say, I want to challenge you and 4 other people to Hell in a Cell. I want to challenge you and 4 other people to Money in the Bank. So keeping, Elimination Chamber and Money in the Bank as their own pay-per-view sounds like something that he's more in line with doing because of the stakes that those shows have, as far as like Elimination Chamber has now been used as the secondary of the Royal Rumble. Get the next challenger, and then you have Money in the Bank as its own thing. You can put it back on WrestleMania. It would still feel really prestigious, but I think a Money in the Bank pay-per-view over Vengeance Payback is going to do better business.
Yeah, and that, for the last 10 years, it really became its own like fifth big pay-per-view for the company, and it was going to be at Allegiant Stadium this past July, but ticket sales were low and they moved it to MGM Grand, but in their eyes, it's still a big enough pay-per-view that they can build a whole big event around of. So it'd be interesting, if Triple H, what's his vision, for that moving forward? What's Money in the Bank going to be?
And Mercedes Moné defeats Jade Cargill for the TBS title.
That's possible. That's possible. Oh my God, Brian, how about you? Any predictions?
You don't think they put the big belt
I got
on her?
some here.
Oh, they should.
That's because wherever Sasha goes, there has to be a Charlotte wannabe that has to go, win everything over her, and then it'll be a reason for her to come back to WWE. But anyways, my predictions are pretty simple.
Okay,
Charlotte. No, I'm joking.
Charlotte's the WWE and AEW champion at the same time.
Yes. He'd love it.
I think
She's
Seth
the real
Rollins
Forbidden Door.
gets right. I think Seth Rollins gets a world championship. I think Karrion Kross gets over as a heel and gets a world championship. And I think we're gonna get, obviously, this is kind of obvious, but what I hope now with Triple H in charge, big NXT call ups, right? I like more impactful, more meaningful, like guys and girls who actually self and actually are presented as a big deal, right? And then hopefully Raw and SmackDown like changes in presentation and things like that, maybe new stages, different stages. I already see Triple H, what they're doing, and the theme music changing a little bit to both Raw and SmackDown. So hopefully we get new setups, and I'm not saying they got to bring the fist back to SmackDown or the big Titantron to Raw or anything like that, but something different. Something different.
I do want to add this real quick. I do think there will be one major jump between WWE and AEW.
Ooh.
I think there will be one major one where we're like,
which way though?
We don't know. It could go either or. I think there'll be one where we're like, oh man, okay. Yeah.
I'm trying. Yeah, there are a lot of contracts up.
I
this
think
year.
that might be more towards 2024 though.
Okay.
But there's some contracts coming up this year, right? Which I don't know off the top of my head who they
Give me
are.
2 seconds.
Okay.
That or we see a contracted AEW guy in the Rumble.
Oh Lord.
Okay. Brian, is that all your predictions? Is that all you got?
Pretty much.
Okay,
Yeah.
Speaking of AEW contracts, if Tony didn't add any time to Kenny's contract, February.
Wow.
If Tony didn't add any time to Kenny's contract for the injuries,
Yeah.
February, possibly Young Bucks as well. Young Bucks have said different things. Young Bucks have said 2023, but then on BTE they've hinted 2024. Kenny is February 23, and no one's heard if he's re-signed.
Wow. I wonder where his heart is, because I know he really loved Japan. So I wonder if he would go back to New Japan.
Nick Khan wanted to get a relationship with New Japan going for Bryan Danielson, and that didn't work out.
Man, I don't know. See what happens, man. I'm kind of interesting there. All right, some of my predictions here for 2023. I just thrown it out there. I know it's kind of obvious, softball here, but yeah, I think Cody Rhodes will win the WWE title at some point. I hope it happens. I hope it's not a brand new title that they make for the company. I hope it's the lineage, the one that, that Roman had right now, the one Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Bruno, all those guys, Hulk Hogan, all of them had. I hope that's the title Cody holds. The one that his dad once held was taken away from him. So the lineage, to me, that's real important, and that's the story they need to tell. I think Drew McIntyre will win a world title. I think as a make good for winning the WWE title in the PC during almost 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I say world title because that one I could see for him, this new secondary world title that they bring in, I could see that could be the one that they maybe reward Drew with.
That is the rumor that this new title could end up being like Seth and Drew at Mania.
Yeah, exactly. So I could see that's the title that a lot of these guys in the main event picture who, were close to beating Roman or whatever, that could be the title that these guys can have, official WWE world title reigns under their belt. I think, and I hope, Big E returns to the ring this year. I know, who knows how his recovery is from his neck injury and stuff, but I just hope at some point, Big E is able to make a big comeback in 2023. It'll be really special when he does. That's something I'm hopeful for. I do think Sasha Banks will come back to WWE. I think she's gonna go off, do her thing. WWE's gonna see that she proves herself to be a big star. They want her back for that big return, and especially pop a ratings point to help them with their TV contract negotiations. That's where I'm kind of leaning towards.
So you think they give her the money she wants?
Yeah, they're like.
You think they give her the $1 million contract?
Let's just give it to her because then we can get billions in return from Fox or NBC, Universal, all that stuff. It's like, let's just give her the money up front. Let's get that big ratings point out of it and some momentum from her buzz, and use that help with our contract negotiations for TV deals.
I think if that were to happen, which it is very possible, not gonna be till second half of the year.
Yeah, I think so.
Word is that New Japan's already got multiple dates booked for her.
Yeah, so I could see.
Which I think one might be the San Jose show.
Which I know that's February, right? Okay.
Because I think she shows up at Wrestle Kingdom, and then the title match, whether it's her and Kyrie or her in Tam Nakano, is going to be in San Jose, because that women's championship is something that they want big for the American audience.
Exactly, and she has that
North
American draw right there. Another one here, I think Montez Ford will go solo. Ooh. And I think, maybe he could be the main eventer that I think a lot of people see him to be. So I think Montez Ford will get a big push. Now, whether the Street Profits break up, like one turns bad on the other, or they get broken up in the draft, who knows? I'll let Triple H figure that out. But I think Montez Ford, he put on some weight, and the potential for him to be as a solo star is there. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Rory mentioned on Raw, he bulked up.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So we'll see. Two other quick ones. This is just me just throwing it out there. I like to see, Nick Aldis signed with WWE, and maybe he helped launch his NXT Europe. He can be the face of that. I know him and Bruce Pritchard don't get along. I get that. But I know Triple H really respects like NWA, the brand, the title, the lineage, has one in his office. So I'm curious if Triple H kind of respect what Nick Aldis did with the NWA title for the last few years. Maybe you'll throw him a bone and bring him into the company. That's something I'm just curious. I'd like to see Nick Aldis get a run on, the WWE stage in some capacity, whether that's, WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT Europe, if that brand ever launches this year at some point. So that's something. And just another one for fun, I would like to see the Hurt Business reform.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, MVP was kind of teasing that on Raw a little bit, like he wanted to talk to Adam Pearce about Bobby Lashley. So, I don't know. They haven't really followed up on that yet. Do we think that's going to be, MVP trying to get back to Hurt Business, get back Bobby Lashley together?
I think that's what that means, Because we were saying it on the Bullet Cast, like Bobby Lashley's angry, hurt people. If only there was an organization that could help him with that type deal,
So Phil, though, does that mean Omos could be part of the Hurt Business?
Why not?
I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Yeah.
I mean, why not? Get them all together, and
you've got the big real life fighter in Bobby. You've got the amateur wrestler in Shelton. You've got the cruiserweight flyer in Cedric, and you got the big guy in Omos. I mean, it covers all categories right there.
Oh, and MVP's big in like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so that's another thing. MVP like Brazilian jiu-jitsu and whatnot. So like, don't get that twisted, bro.
He can really embrace being JJ Dillon of this group. he
could.
The shot caller, making things happen.
Yeah.
I'm down. But on the Nick Aldis thing, I would love to. Could you imagine Nick Aldis and Roman Reigns face to face?
I would love it.
And Roman would be like, "Look, we finally decided to stop wrestling on YouTube or something like that."
Dude, they could have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a package deal. Maybe Nick and his wife Mickie James can come back to WWE.
She's doing that Ric Flair storyline.
Yeah, she's doing like the one last rodeo. I think that pay-per-view is this week or next week for Impact Hard to Kill. Yeah.
Man,
she's doing the Rick's thing of next time I lose, I'm gone.
From Impact, then she go somewhere else, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course.
She doesn't have a contract, right? Is she wrestling
not that
like
I know of
appearance thing?
I think it's by appearance, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, man. So, dude, a lot of stuff to look forward to in the new year. So, wow, guys, we made it. We got through all the categories. Uh-oh.
I got one more. I'm sorry. And I hope it does happen. Batista gets in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
If they're in Hollywood, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, this is a topic that's been around.
I was about to say the same thing.
Who is the best wrestler turned actor? Is it Rock? Is it Cena? Or is it the Animal?
It's Dave Bautista.
It is. He has more range.
Yes.
Hands down.
Every movie The Rock does.
He has more range.
Every movie The Rock does, other than Tooth Fairy and The Game Plan, is the same character.
True. Yes, Rock is the same one.
John Cena is a very great comedic actor. He does have range, more range than I think The Rock does. But Batista is the one who's actually gone out there and seeked out different types of roles. He's the one that's pushed himself the most, I believe, in doing different things. Like he's got a new movie coming up. It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie called Knock at the Door or something like that. Knock on the Cabin, where he's playing this like almost like cult leader kind of guy, where he's got to help like stop. I don't know exactly the whole story, but he's like stopping like the end of the world. And he's telling this family, one person in your family needs to die to save the world or whatever. And it's like, and he, just from the previews, I'm like, holy crap. Plus, here's my one thing. Batista can play Black Adam, but The Rock can't play Dax.
That's true. Okay.
Or Drax.
Yes.
I don't think Rock could do it.
Batista, he's such a Leviathan. You love it.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like Rock's not going to get a Black Adam 2 anytime soon. So
no, Rock's trying to kind of mend that, going, me and James Gunn are working on some multiverse stuff for in the future. Basically saying, I hope I get another cameo.
Yeah. I don't want to piss off the guy who runs DC Studios now. So, who casted Batista as Drax.
Well, and Batista's very loyal to James Gunn.
Yeah.
Batista said I wouldn't do Guardians 3 if James Gunn wasn't in charge of that movie. So...
Yeah, I like the Christmas special. It was really good. The Guardians Christmas special on Disney Plus. It was a lot of fun. So, all right, guys, listen, that was a lot of fun. Seriously, I know this was a last-minute impromptu podcast, but it turned to a very fun discussion. I'm really glad we did this. So thank you guys for making the time to join me for this. So much fun. So, Tim, yes, please tell the Kliqsters, where can they find you online?
So you can find me basically anywhere, whether that is on Pro Wrestling Unlimited, whether that's the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, whether that's twitch.tv/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, or our website, pwunlimited.co. And then you can find all my other work, whether that is video editing stuff, photography stuff, just anywhere online at Timmy Buddy.
And I saw, Tim, you got a new drone.
Oh, yeah.
So now you can do some even cool, like special video projects with the drone flying in the air, the camera. That's going to be awesome. So, Phil, how about you? Where can all the Kliqsters follow you online?
You can just follow the podcast at Bulletcast on Twitter, The Bulletcast on Instagram, Bulletcast on YouTube. If you haven't, go check out the Bulletcast Awards, a.k.a. the Casties. We gave out 16 wonderful awards. They were great. And, just be on the lookout for what the BC's got in 2023.
And come out to a local pro wrestling show in the Bay Area. See Phil in attendance. Come say hi to him. Also, Ugwa, right? Come see you do some.
Come see me do commentary at Ugwa. If you're around, go see Alpha Zoe, the Bulletcast heavyweight champion. So we got a lot of things going on around here.
He was your NorCal winner of the NorCal Wrestler of the Year, right?
Yeah, yes, he was. Yes, yes, he was.
Interesting coincidence. Full-cast champion.
Like I said, I voted for Titus Alexander.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying. Brian, I voted for Jacob Fatu. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Love Jacob. He's our boy. All right, Brian, where can the Kliqsters find you live?
Kliqsters, you guys can find me at BrianTronic on Twitter and Instagram. Yes. Oh, and by the way, I'll be tweeting a lot about Charlotte Flair over the next couple of weeks, probably for the whole year now that she's back. What a perfect time for Charlotte to come back. This is great.
That was your Christmas gift. Charlotte Flair came back just for you.
Yes. Oh my.
What'd you think of the ring gear?
Oh, it was perfect.
Okay.
Oh,
the
it's
music?
gorgeous. The music was
music, too.
amazing. The gear is gorgeous. The moment was special. Like that crowd, it was almost like, yes, thank you so much. Oh, yes. She went out there with authority. I'm surprised. I'm kind of mad that when she kicked Ronda's head off, that wasn't it. How dare they not let her get the pin after that kick? The same kick that put Ronda Rousey out at WrestleMania. The same kick. Like, why not? What?
I know.
Like it's a Money in the Bank cash in.
I know exactly. That's
Because Ronda had to still look strong and had to be that sneaky roll up. And if you look, Charlotte tried to grab the handful of tights and kind of couldn't get it in time.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll discuss that more in the near future. All right, I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. For everything else, at In The Kliq on social media. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts at. Follow us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment. All that good stuff. And if you want to email us, inthekliq@gmail.com. Thank you guys once again for making the time. I really do appreciate it. And on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line because Huey said so.